Hey everybody, it's Jim here, and this week in for repair is my favorite guitar model of all time. Very different from last week where we had my least favorite guitar model, which I hope to not see again anytime soon. But this is a 2019 Fender Mexican Road Worn 50s Telecaster in the Guitar Center exclusive purple nitro finish. It's a stunner, but how does it play? We're going to find out in just a second. I'm also going to be going over what was wrong with it, what needed to be repaired, some thoughts on the model itself, and some other little tidbits that I noticed about this guitar that fall into line with some things that I've come to kind of almost stereotype with Mexican-made Fenders. But we're going to start with the sound samples first. We're going to be using the Mesa Boogie Rectiverb right into the SM57. Any drive that you hear will be from the Benson preamp. That's pretty much it. Let's get started. As to be expected, I had a lot of fun filming the playthrough of this guitar because I love Telecasters. But I'd like to talk about this specific model of Telecaster for a minute here because it's the first time that I've played a Road Worn 50s one. The neck on this is outstanding. I really mean that. The thickness of it is a little bit thinner than one of the baseball bat U's you would find on something like a 52 reissue Telecaster or an American original 50s, what they call it now. But one big difference between that and an American original 50s Tele, this has the vintage 7 1/4 radius, and I love it. For chords and stuff like that, and being primarily a rhythm guitarist and growing up playing the JV Strat, I love the vintage radius. I wish Fender USA made more guitars with that option on it. Absolutely wonderful neck to play. The electronics, they sounded really darn good for what they are. I believe these are Tex-Mex pickups, and you're going to see something interesting I found as far as the electronics go once I get into the repair section of it that also impressed me. Guitar held tuned really well. It's a Telecaster. You set one of these things up decently, you really don't have to worry about that. I love that about this guitar model. The finish is great. One thing that I never quite understood when it came to the Fender Road Worn line, why are all of them made on the same template? For example, if you look up this guitar model, all of them have that in the same exact spot, almost the same exact size. You look at where the wear is on the body itself, it's all like a carbon copy of a thing, and that kind of, I don't know, that kind of sucks. I wish that they would be a little more liberal and free when it came to how they were going to relic up these guitars. If somebody wants a relic, I would imagine that they would want something just slightly different. And unfortunately, if you do want that, you got to go to the Fender Custom Shop, and we are in a completely different category of guitar, not just in terms of price, but also in of quality. But overall, I was really impressed with this guitar, and I absolutely would give it a thumbs up. Now, when I was given this guitar for repair, I was told there were two things that I needed to check out on it. The first was there was no sound when it was plugged in, and the second was when you did actually fret the guitar and try to play a chord, it was really, really buzzy. So the first thing is really easy because it's a Telecaster. I didn't even need to take the strings off because you have your control plate right here. Just unscrew, unscrew. You'll see on the screen the problem was extremely simple. One of the leads from the neck pickup just disconnected. That stuff happens from time to time. I'm not going to fault anybody from that. And I also don't know if anybody had tinkered with this guitar. But one thing that I did notice, and was definitely from the factory, and I verified this after the fact because I was so surprised by it, this guitar came with CTS pots and a Switchcraft jack and a real Fender three-way switch to it. I was like, whoa, that's actually impressive. Not even the JV 50's that I had in from Japan came with that. Definitely a nice touch. Now, the second part of the repair, which falls in line with a lot of the observations I've had playing Mexican-made guitars over the last 15 years or so, there's a lot of buzz with this instrument. When I actually played it open, though, nothing. And so that made me immediately say 99% of the time, it ain't going to be the nut, because if it was the nut, it would already be buzzing. Once I hit the first 3 frets, though, I was like, a little bit there, not so great there, really bad there. The frets are not level at all on this guitar, up and down the neck. It's more severe on fret 4 and fret 2, but overall here, this needs a full-on level to it. Purchasing this as a used guitar, not a problem. And one thing you can do before you do get the frets leveled, if this is a problem that you're having, and specifically it is in the top part of the fretboard here, you can give it a little bit of relief and loosen it a little. That will help a little bit, and it did with this specific guitar. It's not nearly as bad as when I initially got it. However, not a big deal on a used guitar. These things happen, and I just wish that when they came new, it wasn't the same kind of experience. I think out of the last 10 Fender Mexican guitars that I have played, only 2 of them had fretwork that was pretty darn good as far as the level goes, not like an immediate, oh, this needs to be an addressed sort of issue. One of them was actually the Player Plus Stratocaster. I have to give credit where it's due, but more often than not, I found that you're either going to have sharp fret edges, which this one did not have. I have to give my credit there. This was very smooth. Or you're going to have the frets not be as level as some of the competition. And quite frankly, this is a bigger problem to me only because of where these guitars are currently priced. I'm not sure what a new version of this guitar costs, maybe $1,100 if they even make it anymore, but that's a lot of money to invest into an instrument. And if you're somebody that's not comfortable putting in that kind of work or performing that kind of work on your guitar, because you can really mess things up worse than, the initial problem would have, you're going to fork out even more money on top of that to make sure the guitar is in tip-top playable shape. And for over $1,000, sorry, that's not cool in my book. But overall, I do think it's a really cool guitar. And before we wrap this up, I'm going to give you a little inside baseball here on this one. The more I've worked with this shop, they've been very honest with me, and they don't really know a lot when it comes to guitars. They kind of go to eBay a lot of the time, or if they can't identify a model, they'll just kind of eyeball it and whatever. They gave this person who traded this guitar in less than what a Morning Glory pedal from JHS would cost used on Reverb. Yeah. So think about that poor guy. He didn't know that reverb existed. He would have done a lot better than that kind of price, but he must have really needed the money. When they told me that, they're like, oh, it's a junker. It has the wear on it. They didn't know it has a nitro finish. They didn't know, this was intentionally beat up like this. And, I've done some jobs for them, and I've made them really happy. And, I was made an offer I could not refuse, and I guarantee none of you would have refused it either if you had been in my position to keep this guitar. Luckily, I like purple. It's in my logo. It's part of my brand. Now I got this to match the Tone King amp. pretty spot on. So you'll be seeing this guitar on the channel. Might be swapping the pickups out for the La Brea Seymour Duncans that I still have sitting in the closet from a previous build. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that works out. But that's all I have for you guys today. You will obviously be seeing this guitar going forward into the future here and there. It's not going to be dethroning the custom shop anytime soon. Leave me a like, leave me a comment. Let me know what your experiences are with Fender Mexico guitars when it comes to, the fretwork, as far as if they're smooth when you've gotten them, or if they've been level, or if you had to do nothing and you were just able to play it straight out of the box. I'm always interested to hear your experiences as well. And don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next video. Take it easy, everybody.